Just welcome to the second half of this conference. I am just so excited about what's still coming during the next hour. We will shortly be hearing from our wonderful colleague and now Associate Professor of Social Work and Chair of the School of Social Sciences at Avila University, Dr. Debra Olson-Morrison. We are just so happy to have you back with us for a few hours, Debbie. And I know that more than a few of us are just so excited to spend some time with you this morning. And I'm really particularly excited to share your research, what you've termed Learning Well. I know a few of us here are familiar with it already. It's been a really cool project that's been going on for quite some time, just surrounding resilience in our classrooms. You know our students as well as any of us, and what you're able to do now at this moment is really broaden our discussion today to touch each and every one of our students, scaffolding resilience into our teaching practices and our approach as a university. So just as we did with our awesome keynote, we encourage you to ask questions in the chat during the presentation as you have them. And we just really hope for this chat to serve as a place of active thinking, connection, reflection, collaboration during these presentations. And then we'll allow Debbie and all of our panelists to respond to a few of those questions at the end of the hour. But for now, I'd like to turn it over to Debbie. Welcome back, who will be sharing with us first.
Hello, I am so excited to be here. I can't express how much.
Oops, I think your mute button got hit, Debbie.
Thank you.
You bet. There we go.
There's always that issue. Anyway, so I will repeat what I said. I'm just very excited to be here with my friends and colleagues from Park University. Park gave me so much my time there, so I'm really grateful to be back. And thank you, Dr. Hagen. That was enlightening and so informative, and it was a perfect segue for what I would like to talk about today. So let me go ahead and start let's see if I can start it. There we go. Okay, so I do have a little bit of a script because I have about 10 minutes, but I'm going to be veering off of it given what I learned in the last hour, so which is really exciting, but I'm going to try my hardest to stick to the 10 minutes. All right, so I always start talking about this topic by asking you what you think resilience is. So where have you seen it? Where have you experienced yourself? Now, admittedly, this term has become sort of like pop culture term. It's like, eat well, be fit, be resilient. And I'm like, blah, because it's watered down the true meaning of what I've researched resilience to be. So first, let me tell you why I am in this space right now talking with you and give you a little bit of where I've been so I can be so bold as to tell you you can build resilience in your classrooms. Okay, so I've been working as a psychotherapist and a clinical social worker since I graduated with my master's degree in 2001. And since that time, I've been privileged to sit in front of a lot of people that have told hard stories, collective groups that have had hard experiences. And in my mind, I used to think of resilience in terms of that context, people that have endured a lot of adverse experiences, traumas, and that has somehow had the courage and the fortitude to be sitting in front of me at that moment. Anyway, but now we think about resilience in much broader terms, and I'm so glad we do. When I began working in academia full-time in 2015, my focus was really, with my research, was really trauma treatment, trauma-informed care in agencies and communities. And I was lucky enough to work with Dr. Eden and the students in creating the Pirate Pantry. And at that time, I really dug deep and learned about the basic needs of students, or lack of, when they're trying to make it through college. STI supported my research for my work with accessible education. And when I was a faculty fellow, I studied Universal Design for Learning, where I learned all about barriers to achieving academic success for many students. And then in spring of 2019, FCI supported my colleague and I, Dr. Brant Wynn. Hi, Brant, if you're here, I miss you. Dr. Brant Wynn, and we decided to explore how to build success in the classroom by using resiliency literature. So that was supported by FCI as well. And in 2019, in the fall, we piloted this program. So first of all, I'd like to kind of go over what resiliency is, according to some definitions out there. And this is one of those cases where there isn't really one hardcore definition for resilience. Sorry, students who think in black and white, because it can be so many things. And I'm going to touch on that later. But I just want to point out one of these is the first two are from Merriam-Webster, and you can just peruse them while I'm talking. But resilience used to mean the absence of psychopathology after adversity. And we know now that that is so outdated because anxiety and depression and isolation, they're really epidemics now in our country. So I feel like, psychopathology, who doesn't have it? Plainly speaking. But anyway, so moving on with that, this was the learning curriculum modules that we used for Learning Well when we first developed them. And these were all these concepts were rooted in the literature of what developed resilience. So I brought Learning Well with me when I joined Avila's faculty in 2021. And I was able to, over the last several years, refine it, take feedback, and hopefully make it stronger. I feel like it's stronger. And so I've been able to teach staff, faculty, and colleagues and present at conferences on how to build resiliency skills in the classroom. I've also been doing research on conducting qualitative research on college students' perceptions of collective adversity and collective resilience. And this is particularly pertaining to students who were born after 2011, who do experience a collective adverse environment like we've never seen before in terms of not just the pandemic, but collective gun violence in schools, political animosity, cultures of fear. So I was really curious in how they perceived collective adversity and collective resilience. So I'm going to offer some of those ideas at the end from that research. So first things first, skill building to foster resiliency works. It's in the literature, it's in the research. You can see here it helps with retention, morale, loneliness and coping, depression, self-efficacy, and there are curriculum modules out there that train students. They're just usually contained to certain programs. So that's why I'm excited about this, is it's all first-year seminar. So it works. And so what does resilience embody? What are the main components of building resiliency skills in the classroom? And the first one, all the research points to these, and it's borne out in my own research as well, in my own experience, is self-efficacy and having a systematic support network. So I'm going to talk about what each of these means. I'm going to first touch on that systematic support network. So when you think of supports, what do you think of? A lot of us isolate supports when we're working at universities, like as a faculty member, as a staff, we think about, okay, well, where can they go to receive writing help? Where can they go to receive counseling? But it goes so much beyond that with every single student. So we first think about who do they go to if they have something personal happen. Maybe a student broke up with their partner, or they're experiencing a bout of panic over a certain paper. Who do they go to for that? And then maybe they do need some university supports. Where do they go? And this is key to teaching resiliency skills at the college level, is you don't, I think about this, you don't just tell them about it. So when we do first-year seminar, we show them the people, we have them come talk, but we also have them go find where to access them and expose themselves to these people. So when the time comes when they need it, first of all, they're not blocking on it. They don't have to go searching for the information, and they've already developed a sense of comfort and rapport with whoever it is that's going to help them in that situation, especially when I'm thinking of populations that are considered that they have to be strong We just talked about a population of students that it really is a sign of weakness sometimes to ask for help. So doing something to expose them to the people that are going to provide support is really important. And then lastly, in the community, where in the community do they go when they get sick? Where's their doctor? Where do they practice their religion? So these are the systematic support network pieces that we really identify in first year seminar for students and help them identify. We got worksheets like the one you've seen here. Okay, I'm going to move on to self-efficacy. Now, you may or may not know what self-efficacy is, but this is definitely so poignant when thinking about what Dr. Hagen was just talking about. Self-efficacy is a coin termed by Albert Bandura in the 70s. And basically, self-efficacy is our ability to feel that we have the capacity to solve problems, make choices on our own behalf. On our own behalf is the key. And we have a belief that we can succeed. And that is what we call self-mastery. So on this slide, you see these 4 levels of self-efficacy. Experience is something that we do well in the classroom. That is mastery of an experience. In the classroom, it's can they understand the skill set that you're trying to teach them? Can they do critical thinking? All of those kinds of things. But one thing that I'd like to stress with mastery is language is very important in how we're developing mastery with students. Avoiding the term I, as if you're the one giving approval, and using the term you as they demonstrated something. So rather than, I really love how you wrote this paragraph, you can say something like, you showed me your understanding of the concepts through the paragraph's components, or something like that. So trying to get rid of that approval from you and rather reflecting it on their self-mastery. Vicarious experience is working with others and seeing each other, seeing others that can be considered role models. And this is definitely part of the resiliency literature. So getting in groups where they see skills in others that they admire. The social persuasion is other people seeing the value in what you bring to the table. So feeling worthwhile in your social group, feeling valuable, and like we said before, a voice in your social group. And then the last one that we really, really focus on, and that's, I feel, is neglected in our college classrooms in some respects, is the physiological feedback. And that that is what I mean, is the psychological and the emotional well-being part. I'm trying to rush through, so apologies for my misspeaking, whatever. Okay, anyway. So when we get to the emotional and psychological health, these are the components that students have said that they've mostly appreciated out of the resiliency curriculum. And one of them is developing emotional intelligence, particularly showing students, teaching them how to manage crises and how to manage strong emotions. And when I'm thinking about what Dr. Hagen was talking about, naming the anxiety that might come along with critical thinking, like this is really hard and this is a safe space, that kind of thing. A sense of meaning, purpose, and belonging. So understanding your personal values and belief systems as your compass and developing your own personal mission statement about what you want your life to mean in the world. And then this is a huge one for students. It's understanding time management and study skills. And I know that's so basic, but many college students don't have those skills when they come in and we take it for granted. And finally, the health and well-being information, sleep, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health, and how to address each one of them in our day-to-day lives. So those are the skill sets. And these are, this is some of the feedback that I've received from the qualitative research that I've done on the curriculum. The faculty and staff who teach the curriculum, my favorite thing is open the doors for students to come to me for support. And this is the most important part and underlies all the student success points, is the resiliency stuff. And then the students have said stuff like, I was okay feeling vulnerable. I became better able to handle things in my life, and I realized things about myself that I didn't know before. All right, so in my last little bit of this presentation, I want to just touch on what I've learned through the qualitative research that I've done, talking to lots and lots of students about resilience and adversity, and mostly collective resilience and collective adversity. And the things that I've learned is, one, that resilience is dynamic and it's adaptive. So one day you can feel great about how you accomplish things, and the next day you might sit and eat a pint of ice cream and zone into Netflix. And both of those don't define your resilience, right? It's a dynamic process and it takes stamina. For these students, they've been through so much. So every day it's a reminder of why you're doing it. It's a collective endeavor. So I don't believe that we should individualize others' struggles and hurts and challenges, because we've all had them, and building a sense of community around them and resilience around them makes everybody stronger within the whole. And lastly, the students that I researched said so many times, like, the older people in our life, the faculty, they don't understand what we're going through or what we've been through, and we just want people to listen to us. So I think that that really touches on this kind of epidemic of feeling isolated and lonely, and how we can collectively respond to the needs of the students. All right, so I'm just going to finish. So that's kind of what I learned, and I just want to finish with just a moment about talking about students collectively and expressing their sense of meaning and purpose in the world. They want to be somebody that helps others. They want to engage in service. They want to be part of the solution, from what I'm understanding for them. And students are really excited about being that person in the world, that person that makes the world a better place. So I always think in my college classroom is, how am I going to support that student to go out and do great things in the world? I'm sure you do too. But at the end of the day, it's our job to support that environment so they feel confident that they can do that. All right, thank you. I hope I made it in time.
You more than made it in time. And honestly, I wish I already am planning to watch this presentation again after we post it online, because you named so many different strategies that I would use in my classroom that I want to like watch it and take notes again. But thank you so much for sharing with us today. I also just had this like really lovely moment during your presentation where what you reminded me is that I often say in our classrooms, like as an instructor, but what you remind us is that a student support system is so much bigger than just the instructor. And I'm smiling thinking about all the faculty at Park University that I know I can send my students to and have sent my students to, for support. And just a lot of them are on this call. And I just want to also thank you for just bringing to attention that this is a really integral part of the student experience too.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Debbie. And it is just so good to see you.
Likewise.